holla, ballers, and a bro fist to you all. Endwalker is complete. Oh, man. And we are going to do a full Endwalker review. That's going to be a main channel video. That's going to be a big boy. But I did want to talk about its latest MSQ because, God, Dawn Trail has been... I don't know how you guys feel about Dawn Trail. But it has been a... I don't want to say roller coaster of emotions because it's so cliche, but it's been a very up and down experience, unquestionably. The reveal of Dawn Trail is very happy-go-lucky, and I truly see Dawn Trail as actually the beginning of the next story. Although we have had the Golbez Zero arc, at the end of Endwalker, it starts and finished before the final patch of Endwalker, right? It's done, and it's like this, it's not filler content, and people keep calling it that. It's not. It's establishing characters while they've got time that they're going to utilize later, so they don't have to redo it later when the story's probably in a good flow, right? This is fine. Well, by the time we see Zero and Golbez again, we're likely to be in the middle of something important, and it's not a case of like, let's go and find somebody who can maybe deal with this dark ether, blah, 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 blah. It's a case of that would be Zero, right? The same way we think of Sid and other characters. It's like, okay, now we don't get them, and we've already established that. Like, it's a great foundation, similar to what we had with the Warriors of Darkness, is that they appeared, we got some context for them, we understood it, so when they came back, it was like, oh, it's the Warriors of Darkness. That's what we've done there. But it's self-contained, right? It starts and finishes within Endwalker itself, and then we get the Dawn Trail patch. And the reveal trailer is so happy-go-lucky, right? You know, we got a lot of fan service in those trailers. We got some really cool jobs, especially Pictomancer, which was leaps and bounds ahead of Viper for me in terms of interest and intrigue, although I will say, we'll get to it in a second. By the way, Dawn Trail's initial reaction from me was, oh, okay. Not unsurprising considering the stakes and the investment we had in the characters in Shadowbringers and Endwalker, right? The stakes we had on the line there and where our characters were going was such a big deal. But I didn't have any, I'm going to call it this, I didn't have any ingredients to cook with. It was a jungle biome, alright? Seen a million of them in various MMOs and other games, not excited by that or anything. Then we got the reveal of Solution 9, and instantly, certainly because I'm a sci-fi maniac, my interest went through the roof. I was like, oh, okay, where's this from? And then that's an ingredient, and then you start cooking a little bit. It's like, okay, is this S-Star? Is this... And we've done a little discussion about what me and Chris thought it was before the release of the final Endwalker patch. And now we got the final patch. And oh boy, did they just drop like an entire bucket of ingredients everywhere. Like, yes, yes, enjoy, here, deal with this. And already the theories that I had in my head about it were over the top. So needless to say, I very much enjoyed the latest MSQ patch. I thought it was a wonderful setup to have the brain ticking until the expansion is ready. Obviously, Yoshi P at the Tokyo Fan Fest said they don't have a release date yet. It's going to be around probably June-ish, something like that, to make it work, which is going to be interesting because, of course, World of Warcraft has its expansion at the same time. There are different audiences, but certainly in recent years they have merged a little bit. So it's going to be interesting to see how the release dates line up, as we're probably expecting the war within October later on in the year, so it shouldn't conflict too much, but they may go earlier. We'll see. We'll see where that goes. Either way, I love this patch. I thought it was great. The introduction of our Femme Hrothgar was surprisingly so much better in-game than the reveal in the trailer and stuff. So much better. Looks fantastic. Voice was interesting. This sort of American, Hispanic, Puerto Rican style accent. Thought that was cool. But just the animations and the models felt a lot like Vulpera to me in WoW. Is that when I first saw Vulpera, I was like, ugh. And then in game, it's like, oh, actually, these are really cool. I wouldn't play one, to be clear. But I think they had to make them more appealing so they're not just a dead race on arrival. I felt that a little bit in a couple of games, is they bring a race into the game that you kind of already know. Nobody really wants to play this. And it's just not as good as what's already in the game. Especially in Final Fantasy XIV, where people are so very much attached to their character. Far more so than in any other MMO. It's like, this is my character, and it means a lot to me. The look and feel is like, even if I Fantasia for a joke and I see a cutscene with my character, and it's like, that's not my character. I feel that way, and usually I don't in any other game. And I know a lot of other people feel that way. But I think they actually did a really good job. Super good. I loved her character story of this. We got so many different elements. One, bravado. Clearly terrified of what's actually going on in terms of combat and trying to put up a brave face to impress the Scions in order to get them to come and help her. She's one of 4. She's a princess. She's one of 4 who are vying for the throne as their father moves on. And gave us the clue that one of the 4 is somebody that we don't like. Erenville is friends. There's something going on with Erenville. All this mystery was there. Like, Erenville keeps trying to... I kind of hope they do a good story with him, because Erenville seemingly keeps trying to just pull away from this. They've known each other since they were children, and regularly, and even at one point, Erenville's like, can I go now? Like, he wants no part of whatever is coming, and I feel like maybe even Erenville has... I wonder if they'll give him a backstory where he's linked in some way to the royal family, or he's linked to a great house of Tulol, or whatever it is. Erenville, seemingly to me, is desperately trying to not get involved with this scenario for some reason. Even though these are childhood friends who clearly have affection for each other. But something's like, I don't want to do this. And she kind of forces him to be like, no, of course you've got to come along. Of course you've got to come along and do things. So that whole element is good. We had a good mention of the brother, who's likely to be one of the other contestants. And we also got Kryl. Okay, Kryl's Pictomancer entrance sucked so badly. Like, I was so disappointed. Kryl, I'm very excited about, who hasn't had a good meaty story of her own for a while. She did have Eureka, which I didn't finish, I'll be honest, because I didn't enjoy the gameplay of Eureka. But in terms of an MSQ story, like a main function, she's been kidnapped, she's been put in a pod, and then beyond that, and they did draw attention to this, is that I keep getting left behind, because I don't have anything to bring to the table when it comes to actually defeating the enemies. In a similar vein to Tataru in A Realm Reborn, is I'm not bringing anything other than my brain to the equation, which is great, but you look at someone like Y'shtola or Urianger, they also bring this big brain element, but they also then kick ass and take some names to go along with it, and I don't do that. So my choice is Paintbrush. Okay. I love the reference to Realm, obviously. That was great, but the actual intro, the Moogle thing, cool, but she defeats an enemy who, for all I know, had like 1 health left. So it's whatever. But ultimately, Kryl being a seemingly central focus of Dawn Trail. Super happy with that. I just wish our intro as a Pictomancer would have been a little bit better, considering how other jobs in the past have been introduced. That would have been great. But Kryl looking solid. I like the division of the teams already. This was something really cool. I like that Alphino and Alze coming back into it very early, joining the Warrior of Light team, as we can tell, along with G'raha and Kryl. Well, G'raha is staying behind, although we know, obviously, G'raha is going to be coming along. This is what confused me about something we'll talk about in a second, is some of the Scions are staying behind. We have not seen Y'shtola. G'raha has opted to stay behind and look after things in Sharlayan while Kryl's away. But we know from... I mean, in the trailer, they're there, so they're going to be there at some point. And then we had this... The 2 things I wasn't too sure about. The first and most obvious one is the Estinian scene, which even today, after talking with thousands of people about it, I still don't get why they did this. It makes no sense. I think part of it is I desperately want Estinian to stop being the butt of the joke, because he's really cool and badass, and he keeps being the comic relief. And that's wearing thin on me, at least. And the idea is that, like, there's this big thing going on. We're going to travel to this new continent. We got a brand new map. And Estinian just happens to be going there at the same time, coincidentally. Not related to anything we're doing at all. It's just so goofy and unnecessary. Especially when you're actively holding some of the Scions back. Just don't bring Estinian yet. I want him to be taken more seriously, is I guess my approach. I'm sure some people really liked it. For me, it was goofy, and I'm tired of Estinian being the goofy one. I want him to be cooler, because he is, and his history is awesome. His history is so cool. And he's like, oh, I can't pay for anything. No, I'm just randomly going to... I really did picture him with like a stick and that fucking spotty red knapsack on the back of it, like going on his travels. I mean, I know he's a traveler, but it's the coincidence of it all happening together. The Thancred Urianger thing. I've been trying to wrap my head around this. So we see Thancred in Sharlayan, eavesdropping on his friends that he saved the world with. And Thancred really has no reason to do that. Thancred should come and say hi, although he is naturally quite of a creeper. It's odd, to say the least, that he's actively spying on his friends. And then meets with Sussy RJ, who has, as of Endwalker, stated that we're not going to be Sussy anymore. We're not doing that. We've tried it. We're not doing that. But here we are again. I really hope they don't retread that. They're off to take part in the tournament as well, and we have to assume on behalf of another contestant. My hope is, do they think it's a really... Have they been told it's like a really fun sort of like competition? And they're looking to make a surprise of entrance. It's like, haha, and it's us. And they turn up to combat them. And the other Scions who are all more serious, like the Alfie and co, are like, what are you doing? This is really important. And they're like, no. it's like an Olympic sport or something. Because they're like, they seem to be enjoying themselves. That's why I'm saying that. They seem to be having fun with the ideas. Like, they're going that way. We're going to show up as well. It's going to be like a surprise birthday party almost. Is the approach they're taking with it, which is interesting if they've been misled in some way, if daddies have been misled, but it's hard to believe that Urianger has been tricked or duped so easily. Thancred, I could see it, but Urianger, I don't know, but it's good to know that they're coming, and we are going to get some conflict with these. Ultimately, those are the only two. I was confused about the Thancred angle. If I go with the idea is that, like, oh, they think it's like a friendly competition and they're going to surprise their friends, like, surprise! Okay, we'll see where that story goes. But what it did lead me with is thoughts of, like, I don't think our Hrothgar friend is mature enough to take lead. So I've already started to pick sides almost. Is like, I understand the concept is you don't want to lead your people to going to war, and especially with the motivation that the other contestant has, as yet unnamed, to conquer the rest of the world. I don't see you as a leader, though. That I don't see. You're very immature. I get why you need to be stopping them, but also I'm not sure you're the choice. And I'm really curious how they're going to play out that story element. I also did the final Hildebrand questline. Obviously, always fun. Too short. I think based on this, it's too short for me to sink my teeth into, to remember what we did with, like, the Doctor in the previous episode, to then, oh yeah, okay, we're doing things with Poo-Poo, and then suddenly we're thrust into a world of clones and all that. I think going forward, honestly, I'm going to build up all the Hildebrands into one storyline. It's difficult to skip the MSQ, but the Hildy stuff I can leave to one side for quite some time to get the full series of Hildebrand quests, because that's how I played the previous ones when I came to FF14, and I missed that a lot, especially with the Hildebrand stuff, because they're full of weirdness and intrigue and silliness, and then if you have this break between them, it kind of takes you out of a little bit of what's going on, and it takes you a little, and they're too short for you to really get back into them before they're already finished. I'm like, I kind of just want more. So with the Hildy stuff, I very much enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was a nice wrap-up to the story. It worked out pretty well. They left us on somewhat of a cliffhanger, I suppose, as he flies off into the sunset. And I'm sure there will be more Hildebrand. And, yeah, I did enjoy it. But, again, it's far too short. And I want them more back-to-back. Because you could do all the Hildebrands in one day. Like, at least one of the full episodes. You could do them in an entire day if you've got them all there. And they're well worth it. I know some people really dislike them. And can't get into the silliness of it. But for me, they're fun. Alright. So, that's my little thoughts on the latest patch. And I'm far more interested in Dawn Trail now than I was after the first trailer. Which is a good place to be, I think. So, we'll see you then. Bye, guys.